It's Astrology Roast. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name is Karen.
My name is Itai.
And we are back with you, sitting on the couch, ready to share all of our musings about this chaotic world that we live in.
Back on our couch. I missed it.
Yeah, we've been, there's been a couple of Sydney-based episodes, and I think that's been fun to flirt with a more tropical, hot, fun, light-hearted space. But Melbourne is home. It's where it's...
Yeah, the couch. Let's not forget the couch that started it all.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who've been following the Astrology Roast Instagram account, you might know that I got engaged this week.
Yes, you did.
Which is, what a time to pay my dues to society and get engaged to a woman. I've been trying.
Particularly given that most of the listeners also think you're a woman.
It's true.
So it can either be a radical act of...
So am I a lesbian woman getting engaged to a straight woman, a bisexual woman that's trying to identify herself? For those of you who don't know who I'm talking about Lauren, the Leo that has been on our podcast, that is on a journey to find herself while she's getting engaged to a Gemini. I know that this might sound a bit messy, but I'll elaborate.
Yeah, break it down. So Lauren is the Leo that has been a guest on Astrology Roast numerous times. She had a segment for a while that we really enjoyed.
Storytime with Lori time, #Storytime with Lori time. Comment on our Instagram if you want it to be back.
Yeah, we need to hear people. If you want it back, we'll get it back.
So Lauren, a dear Leo friend, she told me I want to do something fun together, and instead of going to the nature and be like all hippie, which we often are, she decided we're going to do an all-included, indulgent, outrageous staycation in the city. So she booked us into a hotel in the city, which is 15 minutes away from our apartment by car. And we just went she told them we got engaged and we were celebrating our engagement there. And we just rocked up. Me, as gay as ever. Her as Leo as ever. And we bought matching gowns. We just decided to go all out. We bought these matching Jennifer Lopez Grammys of, I think it was 2000, leafy, half see-through kind of gown. We wore it together to the pool and we got some weird looks, and it was just about enabling your inner indulgent self. It was unbelievable.
And I think it was a real meeting of minds because both of you have numerous Instagram accounts, being the public celebrities that you and her are, and I was just being bombarded with Instagram updates of you and her in robes, comparing yourselves to Jennifer Lopez at that very well-known Grammys event where she wore that dress, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And Lauren, being the beautiful Leo that she is, she thought of the perfect day for you, but it also magically coincides with her perfect day for herself.
Yes.
So she said numerous times, she just wants to be taken to a hotel, she wants to book herself in, robes, this is where she is at her highest, most indulged self. And the beauty of you and her's friendship is that you meet in the middle there. You know that it's an Instagram opportunity, it's a robe opportunity, it is an engagement opportunity.
Food opportunity. We were on the loose. We just sitting there, and every time someone was like, okay, should we eat? It was always yes. Are we going to walk or are we going to Uber? Obviously, we're going to Uber. It was just, should we buy this? Yeah, definitely. It was just outrageous. And she was really embodying the Leo. There were a few times where I was literally writing quotes on my notes because I didn't want to forget them for this episode. So we're sitting at dinner, we're talking about relationships and she's talking about her relationship. And then she takes a pause, a dramatic Leo pause. And she says about her relationship, she says, sometimes I sit and I reflect back on me in this relationship, and I'm a fucking saint. And she just, and I was like, wait a second, I need to write this down. Like, the pause, the dramatic effect, the final conclusion of you being the saint. It's just like, what a Leo.
And in her defense, she is dating a fellow Gemini. So,
yeah, she probably is the saint just by dating him. Another thing was that we made a video. You know how I like to make, a little video, a little 15 seconds video for my stories. Whether it's the California Girl with Katy Perry, whether it's I'm a Slave for You, it's Britney Beach, whatever it is. Lauren looked stunning in her gown and her swimsuit. And I was like, we have to make a Beyonce video. Like, we have to. So at the beginning, she was like, no, like maybe just like one shot. And then her Leo came through and she was like starting to give all these ideas of which angles and like what setting we should do it. And then we posted it on the Astrology Roast account. And so many people wrote in saying like, oh my God, you're beautiful, you're hot, like all these like, body positivity messages and like, go sister, whatever. But Lauren kept asking me like, do we have any hate mail? Do we have any hate mail? But like in this excited kind of, she was waiting. She was like, okay, do we have any hate mail? Like waiting for the hate mail to come. So
and did you get any?
And I was like, I'm sorry to let you down. Like everyone loves it. Everyone loves you. Everything. Everyone thinks you're an idol. And she's like, no, but like I really want hate mail so I can reply so I can respond to it with love. I just wanted to respond with love, and
that is her MO, is to respond to hate or negativity with love.
But
like she's got some crazy neighbors that she's dealing with. She's got yoga teachers that she's had broiguses / beef with, and it's always responding with love. I mean, sometimes that love can be passive aggressive, but it's a Leo love.
Oh yeah. So guys, until this moment, we didn't get any hate mail for the video. If you care about Lauren's feelings, please go to Astrology Roast and like send me some hate mail about this video so Lauren can respond with love.
And will there be a bit of a delayed release of some of the more explicit photos that you and her have taken during this engagement period? Because I was receiving a few via a billion WhatsApp threads that I'm part of with you and her.
Yeah.
And they were so hot. Like you and her and like thighs and butts and just like you guys in your happiest space. It was so infectious and so beautiful.
Listen, we were trying to still stick to the storyline of us being a straight couple engaged. So yes, we did go to the sauna together, and there was another couple there that was like 50 years old that was taking some time off, like one night with the kids. But the kids were in the pool and they were in the sauna, and I could tell that we're trying to figure out what our story is, because obviously we looked as a couple and we're like taking all these like sexy photos together.
Yeah, and you were clearly having too much fun to be part of an actual long-term relationship couple.
Yes, exactly.
That's the giveaway there.
And then they were like talking about this bar, and I was like, you guys should go to this bar. And Lauren was, oh, how do you know about it? And I just answered genuinely. I was like, oh, I take people on dates there. Like, wow. And I could see that their eyes were like, what's this couple's story? Like, Lauren didn't flinch when I said it. Anyway, they bought it. They gave us champagne. The hotel gave us champagne. They gave us chocolates. They gave us a handwritten letter to thank us for choosing.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I felt a little bad that we did it. But then I ate some vegan Ben & Jerry's, and I was like, I don't care anymore.
For anyone that hasn't seen the story content from this weekend engagement of Itai and Lauren, it's well worth investigating. It really gave a spring in my step.
It's on our highlights.
How do you think this experience compared to Lauren's real engagement, which happened in the Egyptian desert? Because she's really engaged.
Yeah, so Lauren really is engaged to a Gemini, and in true Gemini form, the real engagement was not planned.
It was a surprise. It was overseas.
It was a surprise to both of them. Yeah, they were watching the sunset in Sinai in Egypt.
But there was still a lot of robes. I feel like in the pictures they were wearing kind of galabia
Yes.
His Persian robe. There was robes.
They were wearing robes, so I think that's the common thread here. And I think there's differences and similarities. Like, we're both Middle Eastern, me and her real husband.
Yeah.
And
you've really moved up now. You were the gay boyfriend for a while, and now you're the gay fiancé.
Yes. Well, I think I told this story on the podcast when one of our yoga teachers was genuinely thought Lauren and I were engaged because she kept referring to me as her gay husband, but I guess she didn't hear the word gay. Maybe she's like really woke, so she can't see color or sexual identities. But
that sounds like most yoga teachers, very woke.
It's true. She can't see. She's woke. She can't see color, identity, or my muscles.
Just bad posture.
Yeah, just bad posture. Just screaming at me to not try things I'm not ready to.
Just breathe through it. Just breathe.
Well, one thing we did watch in the hotel, we watched the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Oh, I've always referenced that movie and just been too scared to really admit that I haven't seen it.
Oh my God, so it's like me in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
But
me and Harry Potter.
Oh my God, Harry Potter.
I know. And Moulin Rouge.
No, Karen, you can't say those things.
I know, I'm sorry, I'm out now.
Oh my God. So The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants is really a movie that, like many others, is ahead of its time. And when I say like many others, I mean Crossroads by Britney Spears. Both movies that came out before the trendy, woke movement that we have now. So The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants came out in 2005. And Crossroads came out in 2002. And both of them are just about female friendship. And that's literally the plot. I will say before I'm talking about Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants that Britney doesn't get credit for being one of the really rare movies to pass the Bechdel test, if any of you know it. Care to elaborate on that test?
Oh, I'm definitely going to get it wrong, but the Bechdel test, and I could be pronouncing it wrong as well, is a test that's applied to cinema, I think, to see... They test to see if all of the female protagonists in a show or movie, if all they talk about is in relation to a man.
Yeah.
And most films, all of the female characters, the way that they connect to one another is over or about another man and doesn't actually explore them as individual characters with 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how so many films that we are digesting are... we might have a plethora of female characters that are funny and interesting and engaging, but the whole object that they're talking about is men.
Yeah.
Or subject, rather.
And I think the test is super simple. It's literally 2 questions that you need to answer. It's whether the female characters interact with each other, and that's a yes or no question. And then whether their interaction is based on a man. And that's, again, a yes or no question. So even if they interact for a split second and it's not about the men, the movie will pass the test, even if it's a 1-minute scene. It's not even a deep, elaborate test. And I think some people also ask whether they have a name, which is also crazy to see. I think a huge percentage of movies don't pass it. A movie that does pass it is Crossroads. Crossroads was written by Shonda Rhimes, which wrote Grey's Anatomy. Yeah, it passes the test. It's about their friendship in its essence, and also about her relationship with her mom, which is Kim Cattrall. She still plays her character Samantha from Sex and the City, and obviously she's a very scorpionic mother, so she just left her and started a new life. And then Brittany comes and knocks on her door, and she's like, "Why are you here, Lucy?" She's like, "Well,
so heartbreaking.
You're my mother." She just is like, "Well, you're my mother. Why do you think I'll be here?" And then she finds out she has other siblings. And anyway, beautiful movie. Honestly, didn't get the credit it deserves. A lot of things with Britney, people now look back and say, "Wow, that was a feminist movie."
Do you think she'll ever be awarded an Oxford University degree in retrospect of her huge and amazing back catalogue of film, cinema,
unfortunately,
music, literature, dance?
I don't think she will, and I blame misogyny for that.
It's true. Definitely misogyny.
The movie, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, we're not going to get into it, even though there is so much to say. There is, what topic do they not explore in this movie? There isn't any. One of the characters, her mom committed suicide, and she was, she had depression. One of the characters is Puerto Rican, and her white dad is marrying someone white, and she's like trying to fit into this family. And one of them is a Scorpio, so she just hates the world, and she like doesn't show it. But then she meets this little girl who has leukemia, who teaches her how to love. And then there's one really unreliable plot line, which is Rory from Gilmore Girls.
Oh, Lorelai.
Yeah, Rory, the girl. I think her name is Rory. I never watched it. I know Bad Gay, but I never watched Gilmore Girls. And then apparently she's Greek, and she goes to Greece to visit her grandparents, her Yaya and Papu. And she meets this Greek boy, but he's a son of the family that are enemies with her family.
Oh my God, like Montagues and Capulets.
Exactly, but she's so boring. She's literally, I couldn't even assign her to a star sign. Like, she's even beyond like a boring star sign. She just, everything happens to her.
And it's actually Rory from Gilmore Girls.
Yes.
Who I would say is a little bit boring in Gilmore Girls, but I feel like that's inviting a whole lot of hate. Hate mail.
We're here to serve the tea.
Yeah.
They get these genes that magically fit all of them, and they send them to each other throughout the summer vacation. And then they write a letter about what's happening to them while they're wearing the jeans. So Lauren and I decided we're going to do it too with a crystal. We're going to do like the traveling crystal necklace, and we're going to do it me, Lauren, and Karen. So this
is the first I've heard of it, but sure.
So soon
what if I don't travel though? What if the crystal's just with me on the couch?
Well, then you're going to write a letter from the couch. But I think the main point I took from this movie is that the pants are the Pisces, because they fit all of them, and when you wear them, something good happens to you. But the pants do it in such a mysterious way. Like until the end of the movie, the Scorpio girl is like, "What? Like, I just been sad since I got the pants." But then she realizes this girl that had leukemia came here to teach her how to love. And I'm like only a Pisces pants will make you go through all this shit to learn a lesson. Like, other pants will just be like, girl, get up, go to work, like do something with your life.
You got to go. Well, with your Sisterhood of the Traveling Crystal, what do you feel like your crystal is also astrologically aligned?
Yeah, I think a Pisces crystal.
I mean, I should say our crystal. I'm being very detached as I tend to be, but our Sisterhood of the Traveling Crystal.
Yeah, I think it's a smart choice to make it a Pisces object to teach you lessons.
I also love how these films about sisterhood are never actually about sisters. It's because anyone that's got a sister or a brother, I mean, you never talk about the sisterhood or the brotherhood in your family. It's usually like, oh, they stole my PlayStation and they scratched my CD like your sister did, or all of these
It'd be a whole other movie if it was the real sisterhood or the real brotherhood of anyone. Another topic that I would like to discuss today, I'm sorry that it's very rigid, but I can't slowly transition from a light-hearted topic to a serious topic, which is the hashtag Free Britney that some of you maybe have seen online. Again, we're not going to deep dive into it, even though I can talk for hours, but for the sake of the listeners, the power of the internet is there. If you want to explore more, just go and search the hashtag Free Britney. 2 episodes ago, I was talking about how Britney was on hiatus and a break from the socials. And then she came back with saying she needed some me time. And now it's been allegedly discovered that her dad admitted her to a mental health institution 3 months ago, without her consent or willing to go.
Oh my gosh.
And apparently her management posted this "I needed me time" post in her name, and she didn't post it, which is really terrifying to think that, someone's being held somewhere and other people post on their behalf and we see it and we're like, oh my God, she's happy, she's taking time. And the craziest thing is that her mom, Lynn Spears, is posting all these quotes from the Bible about like it's
no.
the darkest times.
You know it's bad when they start posting Psalms 8:8.
Yes. And in her defense, she posts that every day.
Yeah.
And just like Rihanna's mom as well.
Well, I've got to say as well, Rihanna herself has been posting a lot of Bible quotes. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, what, are you okay? Like, are you just becoming more spiritual? It's never, I don't know if it's ever a good sign.
And then, all the gays are commenting on Lynn Spears' post. Your ex-husband is like controlling your daughter, and she likes all the comments.
Really?
So she's like, that like of, I can't say more than that, but I hear you.
It's really scary seeing all these people with the hashtag Free Britney, and the fact that Britney might be held somewhere against her will and is trapped by her management. And as you said, Itai, you felt like this was over. You felt like all of the Britney Spears fans who have been supporting her through thick and thin had been through the worst of it and lived to tell the tale. And it feels like it's back in that kind of space where no one knows what's going on. You don't know if she's okay. So, yeah, as always, look after yourselves. You as well, Itai. Look after yourself because it's a bit of a stressful time.
And we will be here to break the news.
To break the ice.
To break the ice, as track number 4 of her 5th album, Blackout, says.
Yes.
At least we know that people are still living their lives. And, for example, my Libra friend, Tasha, that is now in Coachella, and she just sent me the most outrageous thing that I think was made for Librans. And I just wanted to share it with the world because I found it to be unbelievable. So you can now buy the hair of Ariana Grande, like the hairstyle, not the actual hair, because her actual hair is also not real hair. You can buy, if you lived in this world, you know that Ariana Grande's hair never changes, and it's the same high ponytail that is literally the amount of hair that you can find on like 20 human beings.
I reckon that one day she's going to get a pixie cut and shock everyone. Like, I would say in about 1 to 2 years, she's going to get a pixie cut, and she's going to maybe get like a tragus / septum piercing.
Wow.
Not tragus, that's pretty, invisible, but septum piercing. And what's going to happen to all those people that bought wigs at Coachella? The wig wearing community needs to be thought of. But anyway, I've got a lot of opinions on that.
That's her Saturn return, so I wouldn't expect nothing less than a pixie cut. Well, you can buy it and just put it on your head and like attach it to your real hair and look like Ariana Grande. It's like, I just want to do it. Obviously, you have to go to Coachella probably to get it.
I'm sure eBay has.
It's true. I'm on it.
So that's kind of the world in pop culture. Britney is being held against her will. Ariana Grande wigs are available. Lauren and Itai are engaged. Itai is a man. Lauren is an engaged woman to a Gemini. So that's a bit of a snapshot.
And I just want to say quickly a shout out to Lauren for facilitating this experience. Guys, get yourself a Leo friend. Get yourself a Leo friend that will go the extra, not the extra mile, the extra 200 miles.
In comfort, though. Extra 200 miles in an Uber.
In Adidas slide and comfort and a trackie and the leopard print trackies. Get yourself a Leo friend. You won't regret it.
She's so special. It was such a special experience to witness via Instagram and to hear about afterwards. I'm so happy you both had that experience. Now, another thing, just to jump from topic to topic, as I have been known to do, we are on the cusp of Easter / Pesach, Passover, for those who don't speak Hebrew or Yiddish, and another triggering festival known as Confest, which is a clothing optional festival held in New South Wales, on the border of New South Wales and Victoria in Australia. So a lot's been going on. There has been some peak anxiety and agitation, I would say, in the lead up to these seismic times in the collective consciousness. Itai, how have you been managing? Because I know that there's been a lot of hype. I fucking hate hype. I can't deal. Like, I love Hype, the shoe store, which is like on Swanston Street. You can get $300 sneakers when your pay slip comes in. But actual hype about a festival or an event, it makes me stressed. I feel like I won't have enough time. I won't have fun.
Yeah.
I won't be the smiling person. I won't wear the right clothes. So I freak out.
Well, so some of you may have seen the movie Prince of Egypt. That is the movie that explains the story for Pesach, for Passover, the Jewish holiday that we celebrate, in which we don't eat bread for 8 days, in which we need in months of preparation clean our houses.
People might not be familiar with the actual film, but they might feel a bit of confusion about the video clip with Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston singing in front of a backdrop of cartoon images of Egyptians and Jewish people leaving and having Exodus. So if you've ever seen that amazing
What a
song, if you've seen the video clip for There Can Be Miracles and you were wondering why are there cartoons in the background in Egypt, and now you know it's the story of slavery.
Yes, it's a story of slavery
Exodus.
and freedom.
I always say the story of slavery. You're like, it's the story of freedom. But the real experience of Passover in my day-to-day experience of it as a Jewish Melburnian girl has been one of slavery.
100%.
It hasn't ever felt like a time of liberation.
Not at all. Me, on the other side of the world, as a Jew, can, testify just the same. My mom, my Capricorn mom. So in Judaism, you need to clean your house in preparation for Pesach. And when we say clean your house, it's not like a regular clean. You need to
a blitz.
Yeah, it's like
It's an explosion.
An explosion of bleach. My mom would open the cupboards. Well, she won't tell us like clean this cupboard and then we would go and get things out and clean and put them back in. She would go open the cupboard and then with her hand push everything out. So it will be messier. So the cleaning would be better. So instead of like,
What do you think she was really pushing out when she was doing this dramatic thing?
Lots of things she was pushing out. But yeah, I remember as a kid just like hating every second because I hate cleaning.
Yeah.
And I just was just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be Jewish anymore.
I hated Passover too. I loved some of it, but there's this ritual in Passover where you go around the house and you search for the last piece of bread that you haven't been able to clean. And my father we'd turn off all the lights in the home, and this sounds a bit more sinister than it is, but it is a Jewish ritual. Turn off all the lights in the home, and he'd walk around with the candle, and he'd scream out, "Here chametz, 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 here chametz, chametz," which means like bread, where's that last piece of bread?
Wow.
And I found it super annoying, and all of us, the kids in the family would have our arms crossed like, when can this fucking be over? This is so annoying.
Wow.
But still obviously being delighted as well. I mean, it was very rare that the whole family would be around together doing anything in the dark.
That's the beauty of Judaism. It forces you to be together even when you don't want, especially when you don't want to. And as Jews, we come together on Pesach and we tell the story. But we not just tell the story, we reenact the story. So we eat the same bread that they ate, which is a disgusting cracker called matzah. We eat like a mushy brown thing that it's called charoset, and it represents the cement that the Jews used to build for the Egyptians.
We have salty water that represents tears. We have 4 cups of wine that no one ever gets to finish.
Yeah, we have a bitter herb to symbolizes the bitterness. And I know many of you who are listening might think, wow, that's a beautiful ritual, like to commemorate. You're right. I totally agree. It's, Judaism has rituals. I feel like we got it like good, but it is a really long and tiring experience, and you usually do it with your extended family. So a lot of triggers come up.
Yes.
And also we sing every holiday, every generation someone comes to kill us. Which is, on one hand, fair enough. It does happen quite often in our history. But also, I often think myself, what does it do to my psychic? What does it do to my mentality that I keep reminding myself every few months, someone's out there to get you, someone's out there to get you. And we've been talking about transgenerational trauma in our podcast maybe once or twice. And yeah, I think that's a helpful tool to instill our trauma.
Yeah.
Chanting and singing.
And you're right, there is, whilst it could be a festival that celebrates liberation and the relief of life and being able to live freely in life. We really went the other way in terms of our rituals, and we make sure that you have that cross on your head that says, don't forget where you came from and that everyone has not got your back.
Yes.
My family, like every time we had Passover would come around, my dad would take me aside and say, be nice to your grandfather. It's his last Passover every year. I mean, eventually it was, but every year I'm like, I'm always nice to him. Like, I don't understand what the message is here.
The message is always fear death.
Fear and death. And so this year I was invited by my Israeli auntie to participate in an interfaith seder, which is the Passover dinner ritual that we have. And so she was hosting an interfaith event. There was probably 90% of the people there were Jewish women, but there was a couple of people that might not have been. And for this seder, so it was a bit more of a feminist/humanistic approach. And one woman spoke about, she held up an orange and she said that now the orange is placed on the table every year. And the orange is meant to symbolize women and feminism and women's participation in Judaism, and also LGBTIQ people or every single other hip new thing.
The orange is everyone.
The orange is everyone. And I mean, I'm all for all of this, but somehow the more inclusive and woke they try and make these old school things be, the more excluded I feel. And I was there to play music, so I was invited to be a musician. I came late. Our Leo friend didn't rock up. And then halfway through the interfaith seder, they started playing videos. They projected videos onto the wall of someone playing an acoustic guitar, playing the songs. So I was actually bumped. Wow. During the seder, which I was relieved to be bumped, but I was very confused.
So technology is replacing...
Yeah, I got replaced like halfway. We had food, and halfway mark I was bumped.
Wow.
And yeah, for a video.
Well, I don't know what to say. I was at the supermarket yesterday and my friend told me that she doesn't do the self-checkout. She always goes to the cashier because she wants them to keep their jobs. And I was like, wow, I never thought about it. Like, the more people buy from the person, the less people they fire. So I don't know. I really love the self-checkout because I like my autonomy. But yeah. I guess I'm going to start doing that. I am the person that tried to make the seder super inclusive to a point of, like, it's pretty obnoxious. Like anything that will specify, a gender, like the 4 sons. We have... in the story 4 sons that represent...
Oh, we did that too in the interfaith one. 4 women
so I will
instead
say,
of the 4 sons.
Yeah, I will say 4 children. But I'm also a teacher, and I was doing all of these with students because I work in a Jewish school. And you really realize how much the language is male. And even in the story, Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, decrees that he wants to throw all the Hebrew baby boys into the river because one of them will rebel against him. And in our program, in like the teacher, program that we're supposed to do with them, it says, why did he do it? And the answer is because he didn't want anyone to rebel against him. But you're teaching a class of, 20 boys, 20 girls, and you're just asking them, you're literally telling them all the boys had to die because of their future rebellion. And what does it say? That like a girl can't lead a rebellion? And I know, we're talking about Egypt, even though I feel like Egypt was maybe a bit progressive because like his daughter was, I don't know, they had this whole, it was like Cleopatra things. I don't know, but I feel like...
Yeah, Cleopatra was very sensual.
She was a boss bitch.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is, you have all these kids. If we're going to sit down kids and tell them someone's out to get you and Pharaoh is still here and in the form of other people, at least tell them that girls can also start a rebellion.
And
why looking flawless on heels?
Exactly. Women really can rebel. But I feel like also in the Jewish history, we have this erasure of the second-born and the third-born and the fourth-born. Like, it's all about the firstborn. And, like, they get the birthright. And then during Passover, we're meant to we had to put blood on our walls or on our door so that our firstborn won't be murdered. And I just feel like, you know, it's all well and good to now put an orange on the table to represent women because they've been invisible for so long, and queer people and everyone else that is invisible. I mean, personally, I'd rather just have participation as opposed to an orange on a table. But yeah, what about the second and the third born? Like, I'm a middle child, and I feel like there's no narratives out there that mirror my experience.
It's true. And I think we should bring this to light. All these characters from the Bible happen to be straight and the firstborn.
Yeah.
But
Moses and Pharaoh do sound pretty hot.
Also, Moses and Pharaoh, gay vibes. Sorry.
I think Moses, yes. But I don't know.
Like, growing up in the palace, it could get lonely. The only person that can get you is like there weren't real brothers, so it's all good. And I feel like, you know, you can get closer and the night comes and you're like curious.
Well, to anyone that doesn't celebrate Passover, you're probably thinking, what are they talking about? And you're like, you've got your little Easter holiday. And, you know, I've experienced now Easter in the workplace in the last couple of days. The CEO of the place where I am working was running around handing out Easter eggs to everyone. And everyone did an Easter egg hunt until people were told to be a bit quieter because allegedly they were making too much noise. There's hot cross buns going around and everyone keeps making these samey, normie jokes about, you know, chocolate for breakfast. It's the only time you can have chocky for breakfast and don't overeat. And I was like, wow, what a different experience of their holiday compared to the Passover experience where my mum, who is unfortunately suffering a terrible cold at the moment and is coughing and heaving up phlegm, is slaving away to cook 1,000,000 matzah balls and huge vials of chicken soup that she can shove on people, and kugels and just stuff that no one ever eats.
How else will you feel free?
How else could you feel free than being trapped in a room with your closest family members and fed winter foods?
You want me to be free? Tell me not to clean my room for 2 months. And then for Pesach night, let me be on my phone by myself in the bath.
Yeah. Well, I think
that's freedom to me.
You've pretty much chosen freedom this year because big controversy, big reveal. You and I are not even going to Passover this year.
I know.
We're tapping out. I am going to another form of slavery, a clothing optional festival called Confest.
Oh my God.
And I think we spoke a little bit about this, I'm sure, on many podcasts and on many times at night on this very couch. But the role, our true birthright as Jewish people, as, you know, Jewish people would say chosen people, anxiety. Our true inheritance, so to speak.
It's the gift. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, and I talked a little bit about hype, and hype being present for Passover and for Easter, but this festival that we are going to is being hyped up by everyone, and everyone's getting super excited, and I am stressed. I'm really stressed.
Why are you stressed?
Firstly, it's camping. So I love camping. Like, when everyone tells me or asks me, like, you into camping? Obviously, I say yes.
You have to.
And obviously, I hate it.
Horrible. As someone who stayed in a hotel this week.
Yeah.
You're fooling yourself if you're thinking that camping is better.
Yeah.
It's not.
I love it sometimes, but when it's a big hippie festival, and like, to give a bit of a context of this festival, so the person that greets you at the gate when you go and drive up down this dusty road is wearing a Hawaiian shirt, a big floppy hat, and no pants.
Yeah, it's always that.
And you pay for your ticket, but you're also expected to volunteer for a couple of hours as well as payment. Everything's a bit collective. There are workshops that anyone can run, and so people run some very problematic and interesting workshops around consent and tantra and sexuality and exploring yourself and meditation. So it's a real smorgasbord of good and bad and everything in between. We're also going with a very large crew of people, some of which I don't know, which is always a bit stressful.
So if I can take a few things from your description and try to identify why is anxiety coming for you or for us as people, and I think a lot of it is the unknown and a lot of it is the expectation.
Yes.
And I think that, anxiety became this thing that so many people are talking about, and so many people can say, oh, I have anxiety or I'm anxious. But it's really important to kind of like notice, wait, are you saying you have a test tomorrow, so you're anxious?
Yeah.
Or is that anxiety like something that like, simmering and bubbling for you and debilitating? Because I feel like the word has been a little bit like, you can just use it to say I'm nervous, or you can use it to say I have a day tomorrow, I'm anxious.
I think you've hit the nail on the head in terms of the expectations. So at least with Passover, you know what you're walking into.
Oh,
You know what your auntie's going to say to you. You know what your uncle's going to say to you. You know, which grandmother will ask you if you've got your eyebrows painted on today. Like, there's a certain script, and we know how to follow it. And so it's a very familiar suffering. I'm sure for some it's a very beautiful time to be around family. But with something like Confess, there's so many known unknowns. There's so many strange variables that you have to navigate. And so it can be stressful. And coupled with naked people, many whom are smiling and hot and walking around and looking so free and effortless and alternative and open-minded. So it is just a peak stressful time. I mean, some people might ask, well, why are you going then? And I would say to them, because I don't let my stresses rule me. And I'm also a sucker for peer pressure and following the crowd. So I know that my friends are going, and so I will follow.
Yeah, but I also feel like that Confessed here is just an example for life, because we do feel anxiety coming.
Sometimes you don't wear pants.
Exactly, and sometimes you don't wear pants, but also you do feel anxiety in your life as a person of the world.
Yes.
And from, going to work or... And again, I'm not saying like everything that is stressful is anxiety, but to me, anxiety is that when your feelings don't really match the situation, or like when you have that unexplained fear of something that in your mind should be simple, or in your mind you're like, wait, why am I feeling stressed when like someone's calling me, when my friend is calling me? Why am I feeling stressed when I'm about to do my job that I do every day?
The unexpected, or it's bigger than what it should be. It becomes global and a huge experience that outweighs the actual fears that happen. A beautiful friend of mine had some very sage wisdom about anxiety. I recently commenced a new role, and so it was something that I was exploring, a lot of my fears around starting something new, and maybe those fears around not being able to perform well or not being good enough, all the stuff that comes up. And on my first day, it also, at the organisation I am currently at, was Funny Hat Day. Wow. So I wasn't prepared for Funny Hat Day. So everyone was wearing funny hats. I wasn't wearing a hat. I didn't want to wear a hat. And it was really stressing me out. Someone offered me some bunny ears. Maybe had I known about Ariana Grande's wig, I could have worn a funny wig. But I wasn't yet aware of that. I didn't have time to prepare my wig.
Wow.
And it was very stressful, and I just wanted to run away and bolt. And I was getting stressed and sweaty and overwhelmed, all in a private, contained way. And, a lot of other things were coming up from that experience, probably similar to Confessed as well. And a beautiful friend of mine has told me this wisdom, which I've since shared with many people, and it's really helped me, because I was questioning, what's the difference between anxiety and your intuition? Because intuition, we love intuition. You need it to protect you, to tell you when something smells a bit funky and it's going to give you food poisoning, or when the person that you're dating isn't right for you or is bad news bears. You need to trust your gut, or your gut health.
So true.
But when people are anxious or overwhelmed or stressed, we can confuse the two, because you can feel fear and panic and deep, strong emotions, which dress and walk and talk and think like your intuition, but it's actually just some fears and some anxiety from many moons ago, potentially from generations or your ancestors, who could say. Seriously. So my friend has given me the wisdom that she says your intuition is never mean to you. And that really stuck with me, because, if you think that something is intuition, but really it's panic or fear or anxiety, which is also all totally fine and serves a purpose. If it's beating you up and being really mean to you all the time, it's probably not your intuition.
It's so true. I really, ever since you said that, I keep asking myself sometimes, what's my intuition and what's my gut instinct and what's my gut anxiety? Because I feel like you could also feel anxiety in your gut as well.
Yeah, you feel sick. Your palms are sweaty. Your stomach wants to throw up. Well, that sounds like intuition.
Oh my God, so
it could be not.
The Eminem song, Lose Yourself, and he's like
palms are sweaty, mom's spaghetti.
It's about intuition versus anxiety. Yeah. Lose yourself to the intuition and not to the anxiety. But I often, but ever since you said, and that friend told you about that intuition is not here to harm you or to be mean to you, I think that really helped me. Something that also helped me with my anxiety, is not fighting it. Because, it's like, these how do you call it? Like the sand that draw you in? Like quicksand. Like they say that the more you refuse, the quicker it sucks you in. Like the more you push against it, the quicker it takes you in.
And I always, when I think of quicksand, I think about my Slovakian grandmother used to take me to swimming classes as a young fat kid who hated any form of athleticism or sport. And she is from Europe, so she has no idea how to swim or anything like that. And she used to give me advice after the swimming lessons. She told me, you just need to pedal like a bike in the pool. Pedal as if you're pedaling a bike. If anyone's ever tried that, it's not how you swim. You sink
it's how
quickly.
You drown.
It's how you drown. Wow. And she meant so well, but it just makes me think of that quicksand analogy of you're pedaling the bike and you think that you're doing motion and activity and all this energy is going into something, but actually you're just drowning in quicksand or ocean or whatever it is. You need to go with the flow, so to speak. And look, as I'm saying that, I felt like a bit sick in my stomach telling anyone to go with the flow. I would probably punch someone with a saucepan if they told me that. But unfortunately, it is probably the best way to deal with it in our experiences.
When I hear the word quicksand, I'm thinking about this song called Quicksand that Lady Gaga wrote, Britney recorded and never released. So great song. You can find it on YouTube. I really agree with you with what you said, because I think that letting into giving, let me explain. When you said about how you put all this energy into it, but you're still drowning, I feel like we often feeling anxious and we either try to solve it with our head or we try to do something that will make us forget that we're anxious, but then the energy is still there, the anxiety is still consuming energy, and you just get tired, you just get exhausted and more anxious. So something that helps me is just to be like, I'm anxious today, and then, be a little bit easier on myself, or just mention that, or even say that to someone,
and change the expectation of what will help. I think we sometimes think that, I need to go and do a yoga class because that will resolve it. Well, it probably won't, but it will also help. It might help 1%.
Yes.
And that 1% might be just enough to change things a little bit. So changing the harshness and expectation that we need the quick fix, but not then completely erasing all of the, not quick fixes, but all the little building blocks that we have to get through stress and anxiety, or whatever you want to call it for people. And everyone has their different ways and mechanisms, but it's
good to identify whether your yoga class is a brick that helps you versus your Kmart run at 2 a.m. Is it here to serve you, or is it here to feed your anxiety?
I'm all for the Kmart runs at 2 a.m. or texting the ex or whatever it is that people do. Where sometimes we need to do the bad things or the wrong things every now and then. Maybe not all the time. I think it's okay when we step out of these self-care, wellness strategies and to sometimes go online shopping for 10 hours or get a haircut or whatever it is that you need to do,
Yeah, and we said we're going to go to Confess going forward, knowing that it's just going to be hard.
Yes, and I think for me the peak anxiety was when one of the members of the crew, who I don't know super well, was mentioning that they're going to mark our camping site with a giant Star of David. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel camping at a hippie festival with a bunch of Jewish people and a giant Star of David. that feels too colonialist for me.
Well,
I can't do that. On Passover as well. Like,
back on Passover, it's fitting because the Jews marked their doors like we are marking our campsite with Magen David. If God comes to confess,
yeah, but we can mark our doors with blood. We don't have to mark it with a giant Star of David. Like that's
true. Well, but if God comes to confess and chooses to kill everyone, I'm sure this Magen David won't stop him from killing us.
Yeah, but if God comes to confess, it's because confessed is Sodom and Gomorrah, and he's like, I've had enough. It's been enough of this.
Of these naked people and these soy lattes and the vegan.
Oh my God, thank God there'll be a coffee shop as well. I don't want to cook anything myself. I'm buying everything.
I know, I'm buying everything, but also I know it sounds like we're such city people and like we prefer hotels, but let me tell you, once I enter Confess, my Mercury Pisces is like jumps out and I'm starting to talk to trees, seeing Jesus. Like, I'm not just giving random examples, both happened. I've seen Jesus and I've spoken to some trees and the stories that I heard.
And I think my Mercury Gemini comes out when I go, and I just run into a million exes that I usually imagined that I was in a relationship with them or maybe went on one date with, and all of them represent different forms of rejection. So that's what happens for me. It is really the best of times and the worst of times, but is it better or worse than going to a giant family Passover meal? I don't know. Jury's out on that one.
Guys, thank you for sticking to another episode of Astrology Roast. This time is about freedom. It's about letting go. It's about accepting anxiety, not trying to fix yourself. You know, there's so many books that their name is You're Beautiful As You Are or some bullshit. That's true. Even though we're sarcastic and anxious and, you know, cynical, I truly believe that wherever you are is the place that you can be at, that you should be at, and whether you want to get to other places, that's fine, but where you are right now, let's judge ourselves less. Because
and if you're thinking, is this a subliminal message to Britney Spears who is being trapped? Yes, Britney, we are talking to you. We love you, we care for you, and we're here for you.
Hashtag free Britney. See you next week on Astrology Roast.
It's story time with Laurie time. Sit back, recline, it's story time with Laurie time. It's telling my story, such a crime. Ever since I was about 12 years old, actually when I was 12 years old, I looked at this boy at school and I was like, okay, that's the man I'm going to marry. I just kind of knew. There was just this knowing, and then so for the rest of my life there was this narrative that this would be the guy that I would spend my life with, but we were friends and he never really saw me that way until... he never really saw me that way, and I just tried, and I lost weight, and I gained weight, and it didn't have anything to do with him, but, you know, it was always in the pursuit of someone's affection, of any male that would look at me's affection. So when I was about 22, I was probably at my fittest. I looked pretty damn good. I had some hair extensions. I was rocking them. They looked terrible. And I went overseas and to Europe with some good times and some bad times. And I decided at one point that all I actually wanted to be doing was yoga. So maybe I'd go to India. And before I left, me and this person had shared a pretty special moment, actually. Stars, beach, confession that we think we're the other's soulmate and that we love each other. Pretty big stuff for a fat girl at school that never thought anyone would love her. So it was a pretty amazing moment for me. We're back in on my travels in Europe, and I decide I'm going to go to India, and I text him and I say, do you want to come? And he's like, sure. I was just thinking the same thing. So we actually went to India together. And there was a slow unfolding of any of our, of trying out a romantic relationship between us because we'd been friends for so long. But we did indeed finally get there. And let's bear in mind, this is like the skinniest I've ever been in my life. And I look damn fine if I'm really like thinking about it. And so my clothes are off, and like he's heard about all of my body stuff. Like I never really hid anything. And my clothes are off, and we're lying there, and I can't remember if it was the first time that we had sex. But he goes to me, he looks at my body, and he goes, your body is like, it's so fine. And I'm thinking, fine, like so fine. No, he definitely didn't mean it's so fine. He meant it was like, it's like fine in the way that like a cracker with Vegemite is fine for morning tea. Like that's what my body was. It was fine. I'd worked fucking hard to get my body to this place. I had been on diet after diet. I'd exercised for hours and my body was fine.